Welcome to the altar. Welcome to the altar. Meet me at the altar.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Marriage Altaer podcast.
Yes.
My name is Ernestine.
I'm Hope.
I'm Cadero.
I'm Don.
And if you are new here, if this is your first time, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when new episodes are dropping. And also, like this video, share it with your friends and family because somebody needs to hear what we are talking about today.
Yes.
And you can also follow us on all of our socials at the Marriage Altaer, and Altaer is spelled
Altaer.
I feel like we need to make a song or like a little.
Yeah, but that was pretty good unrehearsed.
That was a little, you know what I'm
It
saying?
was a little shaky,
We didn't
though.
practice that.
The timing was a little off, but we all
Yeah.
right.
I almost
Yes,
spelled
yes.
it wrong.
Godly.
And my A and my E backwards.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Hilarious. And so also we have new episodes every Wednesday.
Every
spelled
Wednesday.
WINS. Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time.
It's an opportunity for you to share your wins, but we're going to be sharing our wins weekly as well. But we want to invite you into that space, right? Because we say it all the time. It's not just a podcast. It's a community. And so we want to know what's going on in your lives. We want to know what's going on in your marriage and relationships as well. Like if you have a win that you want to share, or if you have questions that you just like, I just need some guidance on this, right?
Yeah.
The Bible says that wisdom is found in a multitude of counsel. And so if you have questions or you just want to share your testimony or a win, I want you to send that to info@themarriagealtaer.us. Info@themarriagealtaer, ALTAER. .us. So let's get into it. How we doing? As we're talking about wins, do we have any wins that we want to share from this week?
Ooh. Not in unison.
Not in unison.
I can share a win.
Okay.
I know this sounds like almost cliche. I'm really happy to be alive.
Oh,
Like
I love that.
seriously, and the reason why I say that is because there has been a lot of like death. Like, and I know that statistically people die every day, right? But more so like people that I know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm just like, God, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm 41 years old
Come on.
and I'm still here.
Yeah.
Some people didn't make it this far.
Yeah.
I mean, in our first episode, we talked about our brother.
Yeah.
We never talked about his age, but when he died, he was 33.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was 33 when he died. And so I'm just like, man, I'm here and I'm healthy. 2 years ago, I had a ruptured, well, it wasn't really ruptured, but I had a really bad gallbladder. But I had no idea. For 2 years, I was struggling and pain.
Doctors couldn't figure it out.
Doctors couldn't figure it out.
They looked at his gallbladder and said it was fine.
Man, I was in so much pain. I would have to go to the doctor and they put me on morphine. It was that bad. Like I could barely stand. Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
And after 2 years of that off and on, I was just like, man, I think I'm gonna die. Like I just was like kind of, you know, when you have no hope,
Hey.
like you
Y'all got me, though.
you start to come to terms with things
Yeah.
and come into agreement with things that was never meant for you to come into agreement with.
That part.
That part, yeah.
Like, because as a people, we naturally, when we don't understand what's going on, our natural instincts is to fill in the gap.
Yeah.
So when I don't understand what's going on in my body, I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
So we start accepting things that was
Yeah.
never meant for us to accept.
Yeah.
And here it is, 2 years after that, and I'm alive,
Yeah.
and I feel good, and I get to share and talk about a podcast with you guys, and so that's a win. I'm alive,
I
and I'm
love that.
healthy.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
love that.
That's a good one.
Nah, me.
Anybody else? You got a win?
I would just say, my win is this space right here. Right, we are episode what?
7.
7? It's episode 7. Like this is real. Like we're really doing this.
Really
This
doing
is
this.
exciting, and this is one of those things that you get busy in life sometimes, and there's things God is calling us to do, and it's hard to surrender and do those things because of the busyness of life. Because we got families, because we got jobs, because kids, like all those type of things. God can
Yeah.
sometimes speak,
Yeah.
and our obedience sometimes is very delayed. But
Yeah.
delayed obedience is still disobedience.
Right.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
it's like
Preach, sir.
in this moment, it's like, man, we're doing this,
Yeah.
and it's kind of cool just to watch kind of the evolution of so far, even in
Yeah.
7 episodes, and just to think about what's to come. Because I'm a very like I'm big and I'm optimistic, but then I'm very realistic, and
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, this is cool. There's still a lot of work to be done. And we still
Right.
ain't done much. Like
Yeah.
there's
Right.
only 100 subscribers, and like I'm just be like, but in these moments, it's like, but you're doing it. You're
Yeah.
on
Doing
the
it.
journey. Let God take care of the rest.
Yeah.
And if one person is affected by what you
Yeah.
guys are saying, that's all that matters.
I love that.
Our job is stewardship,
Yeah.
right? We talked about this, I think, in the first or second episode. I think it was the first episode when we was explaining like marriage and stuff. Like every good and perfect gift comes from above.
Yeah.
Like it's not meant for us to ensure fruit comes. It's our job to ensure that we water the seed,
Yes.
to cultivate the garden, right? To take care of it, to make sure that it has what it needs.
Yeah.
But the fruit of it, it comes, God brings that increase. You know what I'm saying? And so what I'm saying in regards to what you're saying is us doing this podcast. Our job is not to make it successful.
Yeah.
Right.
Our job is not to grow it to 100,000 subscribers or 1 million subscribers, right? That's not our job. That's not our
Right.
goal. Our goal is to be obedient in putting out the message.
Yeah.
And then as we steward that message and as we steward responsibility and ensuring that this community is healthy and we're healthy in the process and our families are healthy, then God expands and grows
Yeah.
that thing, right? But it's based on the stewardship, not on the strategy of trying to make this thing the most successful podcast. Number one, if that's your motive, if that's our motive, we've already lost.
Yep.
It's good.
So yeah,
I'll go next.
Okay.
okay.
So I have been, attempting to be more intentional in my prayer time. Right?
Okay.
Because I'm like, okay, God, I know you've called us to some mighty great things. We need direction. We need everything. So I've been waking up early.
Okay, with the on it.
Earlier. And I've just been like getting into his presence more and just being intentional with my prayers. And I feel like the first day I decided to do it, well, not the first day like I ever prayed, but I'm saying like since I've been on this regimen,
Yeah.
he just started downloading things. And I was just like listening on my notepad and just like, wow, like just simply being obedient, because I felt like I had the pull of come closer to me, let's make this consistent. And so it was just like in the obedience of now coming to him intentionally and waking up and getting out of my comfort zone of just staying in the bed sleep.
Mhm.
It was like God was like, okay, now I have your ear. Like now this is what I need you to do. These are the visions that I want you to fulfill. And so it's just been like amazing just to be like, wow, like, he's speaking on the first day. And I mean, it was like heavy stuff too. Like, but God, how it's gonna get done. And he was like, it's not for you to like really figure out. Like if I called you to it, y'all gonna do it. So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
So just trusting is big visions, and I'm like, here we go. So
Here we go.
yeah, we'll talk about some things.
Here we go.
Oh, that's
You
a
remember
good
that?
one.
Going through the same thing. One more time. Here we go. Nobody knows this last part though.
Same thing.
That's
That's
what
what
Yeah, what did they say?
Did we just date ourselves?
We did.
We did.
Okay.
okay.
But I
'Cause-
remember it from Family Matters as well. Y'all remember when they were
Yes,
singing that on
they
Family
were
Matters?
singing
Y'all
that.
remember
Oh,
that episode?
wow.
Family
Oh, it
Matters.
was like a
There was a
prom or
prom.
homecoming or
Uh-huh.
something.
Oh,
And they were
okay.
the group was oh yeah, it was good.
Dang.
Was one of them.
I think one of them was Waldo's cousin.
Wow.
Mhm.
Waldo.
Geraldo.
Waldo would get on my nerves sometimes. This is not a part of the conversation
not.
today. We just started thinking. All right,
there
we're
he
gonna
is.
come back.
Yeah.
But here we go.
Yes. So I was thinking, so this morning I was watching a podcast, and the guest was talking about how I think like half a year into her marriage, her and her husband, they had a disagreement. And then they both came to the realization that they needed each other. Not that they just wanted each other, but that they needed each other. Right. And it just really had me reflecting and thinking. And I just felt like this extreme amount of gratitude at the fact that I'm your wife. like that you're my husband, and that we have made it, and that we're flourishing, and that things aren't perfect, and they will never be, and they shouldn't be. But I just feel like very honored to be your wife. And some people would look at our story and be like, "Girl,
you crazy.
You crazy," and she doesn't, know what it should look like. So blah blah blah, and she has the wool of her eyes. And no, that's not it. Like I am just very, very thankful at the man that you've become, the husband you are, the father you are. So I just feel like this extreme overflowing of gratitude.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you too.
It's beautiful, man.
I love you.
Come on, that's a win. You understand me?
You need
That's a win.
I may, but
It
I'm
is.
good.
I may, but I'm good.
God.
But yeah,
No,
God is good.
That's a great win.
It is, because
Me
baby,
too, babe.
If you watching,
Me too, babe.
you too, babe.
I feel the same way, babe. I'm gonna just hop on your win
Hey,
real quick and do the same thing.
if you watching right now and you watching with your significant other, go and grab their hands,
Right,
sis,
grab their
and just
hands.
and look at them and say, "You
Me
too,
too,
babe.
babe. Yeah.
You too, babe."
Oh gosh, that's great.
So speaking of you too, babe, let's talk about priorities.
okay.
Like when we get married, like it seems like we don't really think about priorities.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily talking in the sense of, okay, well, I'm gonna wash my clothes, or you, like not those types of priorities,
Right.
but prioritizing. If you have children now, prioritizing work. If you're in church, prioritizing church. If you work at a church or you're in a volunteer role and you're involved in your ministry, like prioritizing those needs and prioritizing your spouse. All of those things. Let's talk about that, because
Let's talk about it.
I remember, a lot of this time that I was, in our early years of marriage, I was a church musician. And so I played at church. And so I was gone a lot.
Yeah.
Just from church, you know what I mean? But outside of that, if I was playing somewhere or hanging out with my friends or something, like I spent very little time at home.
Yeah.
And my priorities was messed up. But there was parts of me that thought that, well, if it's for God, then that's priority. That's number one. And you should understand that. Like, it's not like I'm out clubbing. It's not like I'm out doing, like, and even though I wasn't clubbing, but you know what I mean? Like I was doing stuff I wasn't supposed to be doing. But in the narrative, when it comes to like church, I always felt like, well, that's number one.
Yeah.
Like if I don't do that, who's going to do it?
Right.
Who's going to pick? Like we got to operate in excellence, and we got to. And I had no idea of having healthy boundaries set for myself. I didn't even know what that meant.
And during that time too, remember I was also on staff at church, like full time. So we were both like, church was like above everything else.
Yeah.
To the point to where when we would pull on the parking lot, I think our kids were like 3.
Yeah, the boys were.
We would pull on the parking lot, and they both would be like,
Oh, church again, like yeah. Or when I got, and let me, and it wasn't because church asked us to sacrifice.
Yep.
It's just what you thought you had to do.
Yeah.
we were always there.
We was always there.
Always.
You know what I mean?
And they were just, we would bring their things for them to play with, but after so long, they're like,
they'd rather be at home on their
Yeah.
couch, like with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so with all that being said, let's talk about that. Like, how do you prioritize in your marriage? What does that look like?
Yeah.
And those of you watching, think about this question as well. Like, how are you prioritizing? Let's talk about the spouse, right? And then we can kind of bleed over into other areas.
Yeah.
How do you prioritize your spouse in your marriage with all of the things that you're doing and responsible for?
Oh, that's a heavy one, because I feel like I know what the order should be, right? So a lot of times speaking, like when you look at like a Christian marriage, you automatically think God is first, spouse second, children, whatever, and everything else flows underneath of that. And I feel like a lot of times if you're not aware, then you can definitely get those things mixed up. Like you guys said, like maybe church was first, where it was like, okay, God coming first is my relationship with God. Like, what does that look like? Like that should be first.
Yeah.
Church is kind of like, that to me personally would kind of fall after the children, tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, correct me, like, if y'all feel a different way. But I don't know. I just feel like there's been many times where a lot of times, like, our jobs would come first, or like, because you look at that, that's how we're living, like, that's how we're surviving. And it's one of those things that, yes, like, the job is very important and crucial. However, like you said, Don, like, creating those boundaries within the job are important to a marriage. So, like, for example, I know Kadero, he used to work in athletics, which was a very demanding job. And I mean, like, 14-hour days or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things that, like, I had to also vocalize how I was feeling. And it was not until we had the conversation, I feel like, that he was like, well, whatever I can have you come up and be a part of at my job, I'm going to, invite you to that. So it's like understanding, yes, this is a means for us to have money and all of that stuff, but also feeling like he's going to do whatever he can to make sure I feel like I'm a part of his job. Or, hey, you can come up. We have like a dinner tonight, come with me to that or something like that. So it's like vocalizing where I feel like I didn't fit in and making him aware and allowing him the opportunity to, like, try to figure that out, to make me feel comfortable to where, like, I felt like he was thinking about me or a priority, because I knew, like, I couldn't ask him not to work.
Right.
But it's like
I'm gonna need you not
went
work.
that but he went that extra mile to incorporate me within things that, like, he could. So it made me feel a little bit better.
I think that's real. And I think there is a very fine line in that, though, because in the world of athletics, it's high pace, it's demanding, it's ongoing, and the very unique part about it in athletics is you're serving other people.
Yeah.
And so I'm called to always serve my wife, but here I am serving another man, a bunch of teenagers and kids, and it's very easy to make them a priority even outside of the job, because the job doesn't stop from 9 to 5. It's 24/7.
Yeah.
If there was a kid on the weekend that got in trouble, they're calling me at 3 o'clock in the morning. Hey, we got such and such. Like, so it became one of those things where it's like that it was easily to serve someone else when my commandment is to serve her, right?
Yeah.
So it was a true fine line to trying to figure that out. And like, I give props to those who are still in it. I think for me, it's unique that God was like, when it was time to say it's time for a shift, not just because of the priority to be there, but also where he was taking my life in general. There are some people that's just going to be called for there, and they have to figure out, because people are called to different areas. Everybody's not called to be in ministry and work at a church.
Right.
And so if you're an accountant and you are at one of those big 4 accounting firms, you still got to prioritize your family, your spouse, like, and there's going to be a time where it's tax season and you're going to be spending a lot of time at the office. So the communication had to be there. When it came to preseason, I was up at 5. I'm not back until 11 to midnight, and I'm rinse and repeat. And so we kind of had to set those, like, this is the expectation in this moment.
Right. And then what can we do before that?
What can we do before it?
To gear my heart towards that change that's about to happen, or taking, slipping in extra date nights, or like being more intentional with, okay, let's try to get in as much time as we can, because we know, like, in 2 weeks, we're not going to see each other for like 30 minutes a day. So.
Yeah. And then once we're in it was like we were very intentional of date nights. Like, for us, Thursdays was the night where everybody was kind of off, because you're about to, Friday is like slow and you're getting ready to prep for games. So Thursday was the night where, okay, almost everybody on staff, if they had a wife, it was date night was Thursday, because those were the moments. So we made sure that's what we were going to do, the same, like, to make sure. And like she said, it was like, if you have good men they prioritize family and spouse, they would make that atmosphere, even on the job, very family oriented, where the family could come up. You would see coaches' wives up there. So it was those moments is good, where I wanted to incorporate her to say, hey, be here for this, come as much as you want.
I feel like, too, and I feel like I'm talking a lot, so I'm gonna stop at any minute.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, we support you, daughter.
No, the flap.
Oh,
Flap
flap.
all you want to. Remember that when we flapped
Yes, we
on?
did.
Sir
Flap
Flap
away,
away.
honey.
But I do feel like it takes both sides, right? Because I feel like sometimes in marriage, you could have a wife that's like, oh, well, he's going to do his job, I'm going to do mine.
Mhm.
And you kind of miss each other. And then
Yeah.
things start kind of dwindling and, falling out and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think there had to be a decision in myself as well. Like, okay, we're building right now, and we have to build off of what he's doing right now. And if I have to maybe prioritize in another way the things that I'm wanting in this season, then I feel like I'm going to do whatever I have to do to make sure I can get up to his job to see him. Or if he has like a 45-minute break, okay, well, I'm heading up there so we can grab a cracker or a cookie or something. I don't know. But like,
Get your crackers, man. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? It was like a tick.
It goes along. Sports, Cracker Jack.
Yeah, it was the Cracker Jack.
I guess. I don't know. It just, it was uncontrollable.
Hilarious.
It's like I almost didn't know I was doing it.
Oh gosh, I can't.
I'm used to it.
Not to make me laugh too hard today.
Why? Why not?
Well, you might as well tell
I
it.
might as well. We here now.
Right.
They gonna see this. I don't know, guys. I pulled something in my neck, so it's just not as flexible as
You
it
was doing
normally is.
something.
No, look, y'all gonna stop coming for me in this neck work. Huh?
Come on, neck work.
But I don't know.
That neck wasn't
It
the
might
only
have
thing
been.
getting that work.
Huh?
Anywho.
Anyways, so yeah, like just kind of making it a priority on both ends, like him doing his part to make sure that he invites me, and then me also being available as well. And
Yeah.
not saying I'm just sitting around just waiting on a call, but it's like, okay, prioritizing and kind of mapping out, well, what am I going to do, or how can I change my schedule to accommodate the season that we're in
Instead
right
of being
now.
upset.
Instead
about
of
the
being
season
upset, about the season.
and saying, okay, I'm not gonna do anything.
Yeah,
I'm just
just
gonna pull
making
back.
myself available to make it work.
I like that. I feel like what would have helped in our season when we were both on working for a church is if we would have included some of the things they were talking about. Like, you know how now we'll have like time with the kids, intentional time with the kids. I feel like if we would have been doing that back then, maybe that would have helped them to not see their whole world was just that,
Yeah.
Mhm.
if we
It was,
had
yeah.
intentional time.
Yeah, I think there were some things that we could have done better. Because again, it's not that the church requested or required that.
Right.
It was just not knowing how to balance things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like what I've learned is that lack of healthy priorities lead to deterioration
Yep.
in anything.
Yeah.
Like, don't have healthy priorities with your health.
Right.
Your body will just start to deteriorate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with relationships, your job
Yeah.
even. Start to not have priorities in your job.
Yeah.
And guess what's going to deteriorate?
Yeah.
Your employment.
Yeah.
Right.
That employment
Yeah.
going to deteriorate real
That
quick.
check.
Huh?
You know what I mean?
Gainfully unemployed.
Gainfully.
Yeah.
You went there on them boys. But yeah, so like it was my responsibility to figure out, okay, why did my kids say this? Okay, so they feel like I'm gone a lot. Okay,
Yeah.
how do we fix that?
And we didn't do anything about it. Like we didn't
Right. It was
ask
just
these questions.
yeah, it was just like, oh,
is something-
well, son, this is what we do. We go to
Yeah.
church.
Like it's
Yeah.
okay. Come on in here and watch this Netflix.
Right.
Y-
Right.
Right.
Netflix.
They ain't even getting church. We giving them tablets and stuff to
Yeah.
play on at church
Yeah.
to pacify them, to keep them quiet.
Because they were there for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
I think that for us, it could. So let me go to the question that was asked, like, how do we do it now?
Mhm.
I feel
Not the question.
That's why I
I'm like,
chuckled. I was like, oh yeah, that's where we was at.
that's what we were
Yeah.
answering. I would say now we're absolutely better. In certain areas, I probably feel like we're a little too lenient. In certain areas, but I think we're still growing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But as it relates to Ernestine, like one of the things that we've done to just ensure that we maintain priorities is having, and I feel like I know I've heard people kind of be against this. I'm still not sure why, but having like consistent date nights.
Yeah.
Like I've literally heard people say like, "Oh, me and my wife, we don't do date nights because every day is a date night." I'm like, okay, thank you.
Oh,
Sir.
that's like the
Yeah.
ones who are like, we don't celebrate this or that because every day is this.
Yeah, it's like every day is Valentine's Day. Ain't it?
I
We get it.
know. Yeah.
We get it.
Okay, but can we celebrate with the world?
I mean,
What's the harm in that?
we get it. Thanks, deep person.
Because you're not of the world. You're in it, but not
Oh,
of
okay.
it.
Here we go.
Oh, preach the
I
word,
get
sir.
it. Okay.
So no, but for real, one of the things, and what this does is it ensures that because life had lives,
Right.
life be lifing,
Life be life.
and there are times where you can just be absent-minded and just like,
Yeah.
you know what, I haven't spent time with my wife.
Mhm.
Well, if that's a dedicated day for sure every week, like, you know what, no matter what's going on, this is a time where, okay, I got to stop this. And now we got to focus here.
Yeah.
And that's our intentional time.
Yeah.
Now, that is not the check mark to say, all right, we didn't spend time together.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
It's every day.
Yeah.
The effort and the intention is every day. But in the event that things get missed or it doesn't feel as intentional, or yeah, we spent a few moments together talking, but like she told me something the other day.
What'd I tell you?
She said, I miss you.
Mm.
I'm like,
Girl.
Girl, we live together. He didn't
No,
say
look,
that.
no.
He didn't say that, but
but that's a real thing.
Yep.
Right? Like you can be in the house with someone
Yep.
and be far away from them, be absent because there is that we talked about chemistry and connection last week,
Yeah.
right? Like it's very, very possible to be in the same house with someone, even communicate
Yep.
and not feel connected and close to them.
That part. Can I say this really quick? I know that transparent moment, we had a time, and I just had to bring it up to Kadero, and I said the same thing. I said, I miss you. Like, and I said, we've been so busy, especially, I feel like since the beginning of the year, we've kind of just hit the ground running with a lot of things. And I was like, we've been going on double dates with these people. We've been hosting these people at our house. We've been doing this or that. I said, and I feel like we need time, like just the two of us. And I feel like when I broke it down, like, and you kind of just sit and reflect, like, dang, we have been doing a lot of stuff with a lot of people. And like, I know that we're together, but it's just not the same. And I was like, I want that intentional time. So that's when we went out on a date, you know what I'm saying? And had a great time. Maybe why my neck is messed up, but no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Kadero's
That's
done.
not- yeah. But it was just like, I miss you and I just want to spend time with you and I want to be as intentional with you that we are with everybody else. And it's like, that's when you
Right.
start
That
feeling
part.
like you're a priority to that person.
Something is a priority whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
Like
That
whether
part,
it's
yeah.
intentional, something is getting some kind of, it's somewhere in the list of priorities.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You may like, well, I don't even be thinking about that thing. It's still a priority,
Yeah.
whether you know it or not. And so that's why it can be easy for us to prioritize, right? Knowingly or not, TV.
Yep.
Well, I
Oh.
just need time to just wind that. Okay, but you've been doing that for the last 2 hours because you're
Yeah.
trying to catch these shows every
Yeah.
day. And then you got your spouse in the other
Yeah.
room who's bored.
Yep.
Or he's like, I just,
twiddling their thumbs.
you know what I mean?
While you
Or
twiddling yours.
Finding
Gone.
something else to do to make
Right.
up for the lack.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think like we have to do better. I have to do better of ensuring that I'm paying attention to my priorities
Yeah.
because they are all priorities and they are all on the
Yeah.
list. I just may not be aware where they are on the list,
Yeah.
but they're
that's
there.
Good. That's good.
So the question that I'm going back to now is, okay, what does my priorities list actually really look
Right.
like?
We
Not
know
what do I
it
want
should.
to right.
Right.
Not even talking about what they should look like. What do I want? What do they currently look like in their
right.
state they're in right
Hold
now?
on, and I want to just say this real quick. It was so cute. We were playing with Novi the other day. Well, Kadero was playing with Novi. I think I was taking a nap or something. But I heard what was going on. And
Same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. And it was so cute because now she's very vocal on a lot of things. And so they were playing, but I heard her say, "Daddy, phone down."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, at the gentle age of 2, like
Gentle
freshly
age.
2, she's realizing like, yeah, you're playing with me, but you're still on your phone. And I want your undivided attention. And
Mhm.
it's just like at that age, like she just knows that, okay, I'm not getting 100% of my dad right now. And so it was just like, go ahead, girl, like stand up for yourself and say what you want. Because I was just so proud. She's like, Daddy, phone down. I was like she just knows. It was
Put
so
your phone
cute.
down, Daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's crazy.
what I think what we do also is we teach our kids to have these same types of priority algorithms. You know what I mean? Like, right. One of the things that we get onto our sons about is that they don't take school serious, right? Like, they have homework, can even be behind on homework, can even have failing grades in certain areas, but will come home, throw that backpack down, and start to go play video games, watch TikTok or YouTube.
Or go outside.
Or go outside, and we'll do that up until bedtime. And it never fails, especially with my youngest. When it's bedtime, all of a sudden he's hungry. And he'll come in, because they're supposed to be bed at 10. They'll come in 10:05, 10:15. Can I make something to eat?
You've had all day.
You've had
You're
all
asking
day.
because you know you're supposed to be going to bed right
Right,
now.
right.
But because you did not prioritize,
Yep.
right, eating, because you wanted to give all your time to this entertainment piece,
Yeah.
now when it's time for something to happen, you're not prepared for it.
Which is why, as parents, it's our job to help them build those healthy routines.
Right. But it's hard to build those healthy routines when your routine ain't on.
Yeah, I was about to say when
Exactly.
we're
You
not
know what I'm
practicing
saying?
it
Yeah,
ourselves.
especially
Yeah.
whenever you're a business owner, because you're like, okay,
Yeah.
if I don't do the work, who is?
Right.
Well,
right?
you taught
And if you don't have a team
yeah.
yet. So
Yeah.
then you're there working on this and working on that. You're like, oh, shoot, look at the time. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And so,
Well, the culture teaches us the grind,
The grind,
Right.
the hustle.
the hustle.
team no sleep. Do
Team
they
no
still say
sleep.
that?
I don't know if they
Girl,
still
I
say
don't know
that,
if they still say that.
but that was
But
the
we
thing.
get the concept.
But old school, they used to say, "I'll sleep when I'm dead."
Yeah.
It's like
And we
you will
rest
be
in the
dead.
Natural. Right.
Like if you don't sleep, you will
Right.
be dead.
You will die.
You know what I mean? But here's the thing: we all subscribe to that.
We do.
We just don't say it out loud.
Yeah.
But our actions, right? We live it all the time. So what does it look like for me to get upset with my son for having bad priorities?
Right.
You doing this and you got this dude and this dude and you ain't even taking it serious. You've been playing video games all day.
Yeah.
What happens if he looks at me? Well, Dad, you haven't spent time with me at all this week because you've been doing this and you've been doing this and you've been going to this and you've been going to martial arts and you've been
Yeah.
going to church on Sundays and
Yeah.
you've been spending all day and then you come home supposed to spend time with me, but then you go sleep because you're tired from work.
Yeah.
Now I could have pride and be like, well, who you think you're talking to?
Right.
I pay bills in this house.
Right.
That is the biggest excuse that parents
It
have been
is.
using since the beginning of time
is.
to justify their
Your
lack
action.
of doing something appropriately is I pay the bills in this house.
Yeah.
That does not take away the fact that you still need to be a present father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I was 16, me and my dad had that conversation. I told my dad, I said, man, you don't even tell me you love me. And I know, I feel like even then I knew my dad loved me,
Yeah.
but I was trying to make a point because he was always getting on to me about something. Now, granted, I was always doing something, but he was just always getting on to me about something, man. And I just didn't feel that connection with him. And out of frustration, because we was kind of going back and forth, kind of arguing or whatever. And I just out of frustration, I was just like, man, you don't even tell me you love me. And like his response was, well, I don't have to tell you I love you. I show you that I love you by I pay these bills and I put food on the table and I go out here and do, which was an accurate statement. My
Right.
dad worked his butt off.
Yeah.
We was not gonna go hungry,
Yeah.
hands down. But what I needed him to know was like I needed something from him that I was not getting,
Yeah.
and I needed him to see it.
Yeah.
And in a moment of desperation, I just let it out there, right? Probably didn't communicate it the best, but that was just what I was feeling.
Yeah.
I was like, man, you didn't even tell me you love me. You don't even say that to me.
Yeah.
And his response was what he knew. I ain't got to. You don't see that I
Yeah.
love you?
Right.
And that's what we do with our kids every day. It's just not in that context. You know what I'm saying? Like, Daddy, phone down.
Yeah.
That's her in a moment. Dad, what? No.
right.
Put phone
Right.
down.
Right.
like, pay
It's
attention
me
to
and
me.
you.
Yeah. With me working from home, sometimes, not sometimes, often the kids will come in the room trying to talk or, and I'm working on the type of project I'm working on. And I can't talk because I have to focus.
Right.
And I have to do better at figuring out in those moments how to not have them walk away feeling that way. because I'm at work, and whenever you
Right.
work from home, it seems like, well, you're home.
Yeah.
home.
But no,
It's
I'm
different.
actually at work. So
Yeah.
you saying this has made me think like, okay, so how can I fix that? You know, what can I do?
Going back to
Right.
what we talked about recently, right?
Mhm.
Communication.
Yeah.
I think how we start is we communicate. Hey, I don't have time to talk in this moment, but if you give me half an hour, if you give me an hour, let's sit down, let's talk, or you want to go on a walk with me? Let's talk and catch up. Like, it's communicating and setting some expectations. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and I say this even with myself. Like, there's times where I miss the mark on that, and there's sometimes I feel like I do pretty good, but there's times where like man, there has been times where God has convicted me and reproved me where I was tired.
Yeah.
And she can even attest to this sometimes. Like, there's times where I'm tired.
Yeah.
I just got home from work and I didn't get as much sleep the night. But I mean, maybe I got sleep, but I woke up early and I'm just tired. I want to lay down. And you lay down and how it feels, it's like all the endorphins is going off.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as
Yeah.
you lay down after a long day,
Yeah.
and my son comes in the room, Dad, you want to play basketball?
Yeah.
Your body's
Yeah,
screaming.
Yeah.
And she can tell you there's sometimes where I'm sitting there battling, like,
Yeah.
okay, this is an opportunity. Your son is really wanting to spend time with you because they don't ask for this all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm really tired. Maybe I can just justify this one. And there are times where she'll tell you, like, I'll just like, all right, son, yeah, give me a second. And
Yeah.
I'll get up.
Bust up, dude.
Yeah, muster up my
Bust
strength.
Yeah.
And I go out there and shoot the ball with them.
I think that's a good question though. Like,
Mhm.
I know we talk about priorities and all of that stuff, but like, how do you guys balance like the self-care, like when you need time for yourself?
That's a good
like,
question.
It's kind of like, oh, I feel like I should be doing this, but I know I need to replenish myself as well. Like, how do
Yeah.
y'all navigate that? I'm curious.
Oh, go ahead.
Still navigating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. That's something
I'd
that's
rather say
still
There was
working
a
on.
point I feel like I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, there was a point where I feel like I remember saying, babe, 30 minutes after I get home, I just need that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I just need time to just kind of let me just kick my feet up. I don't want to talk about anything. Just let me.
Don't come here talking about nothing with
Right.
the budget. Like,
Right.
it's not yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Because my
right.
wife is very on that side of the fence in her brain. I am
Mhm.
not always on that side. I'm
Yeah.
always on the other side. And so my wife can wake up in the morning and talk logistics and strategy.
Girl.
I can't do it.
Well, I go to work early. My job
Yeah.
is like
Babe,
strategy and stuff.
should be up. So babe, so I was thinking,
I
like,
can
what do
see
you
all of
think?
this
I'm
right
like,
now.
no, not
Let me
what do you
think later.
think? I want to
Right.
think. But
Goodness.
but it's good that she's like that.
Yeah.
I need her to be
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I just need to be better about prioritizing. We have to be better about prioritizing and understanding each other's language and what
Yeah.
works and what tweaks. So to answer your question, for me, one of the things I want to do better with is communicating, like, just where I'm at with things,
Yeah.
and then maybe planning something, right? So,
Yeah.
hey, for like the example I used earlier, like, hey, usually when I get home, I'm kind of beat.
Mhm.
Give me an hour to wind down, kind of
Yeah.
pick myself back up, and then let's jump in,
Yeah.
And that's just one
Mhm.
thing that comes to mind.
Even with having kids, like they know when our date night is, they know when family night is. There should even be like everyone knows.
It's on the
self-
calendar.
Well, I'm saying there should also be everyone knows self-care. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
Dad, even
Yeah.
for them though, like we need to be teaching them that also because we have older kids,
Yeah.
teenagers and a grown woman.
Mhm.
Which is so
We have
weird
a
to
whole
say.
grown up.
Yeah.
Grown
yeah.
woman.
Grown
Shout
woman.
out to Bree. We love
Yes.
you, girl.
We love you,
Yeah, girl.
Bree.
Bree, you so cute.
She is very cute.
But yeah, like we need to teach them
Yeah.
the things that we didn't know to do before. We know to do it now.
Yeah.
So that they can grow up already like, okay, let me make sure I pour into my own cup because
Yeah.
you cannot pour from an empty cup.
Ooh.
That part, that's what I was about to.
Oh,
Okay,
did
so
I
transparent.
snatch it
No,
after
no,
that?
you're good. Look, so I had a moment. Was that this week? I feel. I woke up and guys, I literally feel like I came crying to Kadero because in all transparency, I just did not feel like momming that day. And I just wanted to like lay in the bed and rejuvenate myself. And like, I was just tired. And I was like, Kadero, I don't feel like I should be feeling like this. We've prayed, I go through all the things. We've prayed for her. Like, I should be grateful that I have this opportunity. And I'm like, came to the realization, like, that still doesn't neglect or negate the fact that you feel just tired in that
Right.
moment, right?
Right.
So I had to sit with that, like, okay, Hope, it's okay to be tired. It's okay to have these feelings. But it was just something that I was like, I need time, and I need to pour into myself, and I need to get into God's word, and I need to have him replenish me. So it's been a thing where I just now vocalize what I need.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, Kadero, I need about 45 minutes to an hour. Now, I do try to stick to that. Sometimes it bleeds over a little bit.
When you fall asleep.
Yeah. See? And I forget to set an alarm, and it'd be like an
Oh,
hour
wee.
and 30 minutes later.
Most of the time it bleeds over.
You ain't got to whisper like
Yeah.
that.
But he put on his Barry
Yeah, he
White.
did. He did.
Most of the time.
But it's like you said, like you cannot pour from an empty cup. So
Yeah.
it's like, and I encourage Kadero as well. Like if you need time, like let me know. But it's one of those things that I know Kadero will get in the mindset of, I'm just gonna power through it. Like I'll just try to go to bed early. We never go to bed early.
Hold on. Let me,
Oh.
'cause you gonna, I don't want you speaking my story because I do struggle with this. this
That's all I
piece.
said. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but the reason being for in my head is just that. I hear her saying, I need this time. I
Mhm.
need this. Excuse me. So in my mind, I'm like, I need to make sure she's good.
Mhm.
So if in making sure she's good, it's me saying, I'm good. I'm gonna let her take her time. I find that I don't have the time then
Yeah.
to get that for myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm making sure she's good. She's the one that, and in my head is like, as long as she's good, we all good.
We
Like,
all good.
and so I'm good with powering through and going to sleep at night. The struggle I have is in the priority piece, and what I work through is, okay, I have work to get off work, yes, but then I have our little girl and I need to spend time with her. Then I need to spend time with my wife. If she's during that time of she's, taking her time, and that's when I'm gonna spend time with our little one, and then when she's up and eventually we gotta spend time together, I don't have that time of
Well, I feel like we would have to map this out, right? So we're living this real
absolutely.
life.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a thing of, okay, maybe during lunches. Like in Kadero's,
Mhm.
I love his power through work, but I'm like, okay, we normally will take lunch and spend about 30 minutes like to eat.
Mhm.
And I'm like, you could take an hour lunch break. I feel like normal people can get an hour, right? So even if it's like, okay, we're eating for 30 minutes, you take another 30 minutes and you have your moment like midday. Like there's ways that we can work around it. I
just have
think
to
it's
map
just
it
now
out.
mapping it out and trying to figure out, okay, what could work? Like if you do the afternoons, maybe I'll do once you get off, or I don't know, something. But I feel like you said, it's one of those things that like we know what we should be doing, but now it's being intentional and trying to like map out to make sure everybody's getting what they need. Because the last thing
Yeah.
I need for you to do is be depleted, and now you trying to pour out. Like everybody's cup needs to be full at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it's just trying to
Having
figure it out.
healthy boundaries and priorities
Yeah.
shows her that I love her.
Like having healthy boundaries
For
For
myself.
yourself. Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
Like
and it also models for the family.
Yeah.
and it
As
right.
as a lead.
It's never just about me.
Yeah.
Like I can't love her appropriately if I don't love myself.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? Like God says to love your wife as Christ loved the church.
mhm.
Like if I don't have a spiritual connection with God, I don't even know how to really love her appropriately. If I don't love myself, I can't love her appropriately. I'm
Yeah.
lacking. I'm bleeding.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, yes, it's about modeling that, but I model because I care. I
Mhm.
model because I love them. I want them to see something healthy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But even with my wife, like, if I don't have priorities set for myself,
Mhm.
like, or let me say it the opposite way, having healthy priorities shows her that I care for her.
Yeah.
Because it shows that I want to be good.
best
I want to
version
be
of
healthy. I
yourself.
want to be the best version of myself.
Yeah.
So I can give her what she needs from me.
Yeah.
Like if I'm gripe, I say griping. Do people say that word still?
I have no idea.
If I'm always irritable
Yeah.
and frustrated because I'm just all over the place, how can I give to her?
Right.
Every time she wants to come and be connected, I'm
And
like,
dance.
all right, and
That
dance.
part.
I'm just
Come on
like,
and
I
tour
mean,
me, babe. Right.
you know what I mean? But yeah,
Exactly.
having healthy priorities and even self-care for yourself, like it shows
It's
your spouse that you actually love them.
Yeah.
We need to ask our kids today, what fills your cup?
Yeah.
So that they can start thinking about what their self-care is going to look like.
Oh, I heard that growl.
I did. That's what I was like.
Come on, that,
whoa.
that cup ain't the only thing that needs to be filled.
That stomach
We
needs
need
to
a
be
lunch
filled.
break.
I feel that belly. So, okay, I have a question. So, one of the things I see online is people talking about how they would never, ever put their spouse before their children. Because they've heard, God,
Yeah.
spouse, children. They're like, I would never, never, never. And I think about, with those people, I'm like, something must have happened in their childhood or something where they felt that they weren't prioritized, or something that would cause them to view it through the lens of, what kind of person are you to actually put your spouse first? What are y'all's thoughts on that?
I have a half a thought because I haven't finished.
Come on, half a thought.
But I feel like sometimes people can say that because it's like the innocence of a child, right? So it's like their age. Like, well, you're an adult. You should be able to do this and that for yourself or whatever. And then they look at the child like, oh, well, they're just a child. Like, I'm going to make sure they're taken care of because you can take care of yourself, but they may need help.
Which is true.
Which is very true. That was my half a thought. So I feel like that may be like where some people view it.
And then
I
my
get
Not
that.
saying
I get it.
I mean, like, yeah.
my other thought is like what kind of piggyback off that is my child is mine forever. We actually look at sometimes our
Yeah,
spouse
some people do
may
look at it.
never we may not be together. There's a possibility
That some people are viewing it through that
that
lens.
you're viewing from that lens that they may go. Like I saw a like a Instagram video, and it wasn't spouse, it was mom, wife, daughter. They did it that way. Like who comes first?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
mom, wife, or daughter.
Okay.
And the number of these guys that
Yeah.
put the wife at the bottom
Yeah.
was like,
'Cause my
whoa.
mama always gonna be my mama. Like,
Yeah, my mama will
or
always be
daughter.
my mama. My daughter will always be my daughter.
But
Yeah.
you may
I
not
could-
always be my woman.
Right.
You may
right,
not always
right.
be my woman. And
I
that was
get it.
the lens of the people are looking at it,
Yeah.
where
Get it.
the child is part of me.
Yeah.
They don't look at the wife as part of them. That's where the problem lies.
Ooh.
That's where
that
the
was
problem
good.
Yeah.
lies. Is you
Speak
don't
to
look
their
at your wife as part of you
Yeah.
when God talks about you are coming
Ooh.
together as one.
You
That
just gave
part.
me chills.
So it's like,
That's my boo,
wait a
y'all.
minute. I heard
We won.
We won.
I heard
If he
Uncle
said it,
Tim
I said
Ross,
it.
and in the mom part or the parents, like that's another thing. People are prioritizing their parents. I heard
Yeah.
Uncle Tim Ross say, the minute you married your wife, your mom and dad, those became your extended family.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh,
Yeah.
that makes sense. I'm now creating, not that they're not important, what matters, but if it comes down to it,
Yeah.
my mom or my wife, it says a man leaves his mother and father
Yeah.
and cleaves to his
That's what the
wife.
Bible
Yeah.
says.
That's what
So
I'm saying.
why
the good book says.
is that person coming before her?
Yeah.
So I think it's that lens of, we don't look at it as one. We look
Yeah.
at it, oh, they're disposable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
That's
possibility of they're
Yeah.
disposable.
Ooh. Come on. You
That's
listen.
good, bro. Let that marinate for just a
Yeah.
couple seconds.
Man.
Selah. Isn't
Can
that
we
what
have
they
a moment
say?
of silence?
Selah.
So
I was trying to be silent.
I heard I said cackling over there.
I just watched and
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
but like, here's my thought. I feel that we have. I'm trying to filter through this thought, so just bear with me a second. I feel like we have a bad view of what it means to prioritize wife, children, God.
Yeah.
Because I think we're thinking through the lens of, if one had to go, who would be the first to go?
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the parameter of what we should be thinking about. We're thinking like, well, if one of y'all gotta go, my children, my kids gonna be my kids, so you can go. Like,
My blood.
That's my. I was gonna
Yeah.
say, my
Mhm.
I don't think that's the way we should be thinking of
Right.
prioritization,
Right.
right? I think it's more so like in the healthy structure of the family dynamic. If I was doing what I was supposed to be doing as a spiritually mature, emotionally mature husband, and she was doing what she was supposed to do as a wife, there would never be a need to prioritize in that manner.
Yeah.
There would never be a need to say, well, who comes first?
Yeah.
Like, the person at the bottom of the list is me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the lowest on the totem pole.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because somebody's
Yeah.
watching them right
You
now
come
like,
to serve.
what?
Yeah.
What?
Right. Scripture talks about Jesus. It says the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve. It
Yeah.
says the greatest of you will be the least in the kingdom.
Mhm.
Even in my house, I have to be as what we call the head priest,
Mhm.
Godhead, whatever you want to call it, of our home. I need to be the least. I need to be the biggest servant
Mhm.
in my house.
That's the mindset I think I get. Not necessarily that I'm trying to. That's the mindset I get when I'm like, I'm a go because I can sleep at night.
Mhm.
I want to make sure she's good. That's usually my mindset, and I know I have a hard time communicating. Okay, I just need it. I need the break because I'm used to it. Like I guess that's that athletic word of a 15-hour day is no thing. I'm gonna just go. I'm gonna take care. I'm gonna work. I'm gonna have time with my daughter. I'm gonna have time with you. I'm gonna be knocked out. So don't be mad if I'm ready to go to sleep at 10.
Listen, let me tell you something.
That's all. Don't be mad around 10. I don't want to stay till 12 o'clock at night.
The
I want to be
greatest,
sleep at 10.
the greatest man to teach me priority was my dad. I remember I didn't understand it, but even as I'm sitting here thinking about it now, I remember my dad didn't have a lot of money. We didn't have a car. Well, we were living with my mom at the time, but we would come in the summers to go visit my dad. My dad didn't have a car. He would catch the not the Greyhound. He would catch the city bus, the Via bus in San Antonio. He would catch the bus everywhere he needed to go. And I remember, and I just thought about this just now as we were talking about priority and all this stuff. I remember my dad, he could cook 3 things. He had taught himself to cook baked chicken. He would cut up these little steaks and put the steaks in the oven, or turkey legs. That's all we ate. And he knew how to make some rice and some broccoli, steamed broccoli. Like he would just put it in the pot and heat it up.
Yeah.
That's what he knew to do. I remember that we would sit at that table and my dad would make our plates, put it in front of us and say, eat. And he would sit down and not eat. And I was like, you not hungry? And he was just like, just eat. And then when we would finish, he's like, you want some more? And I'd be like, yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
He'd make us another little plate, eat it. Once we were full, whatever was left, then he would eat. And I didn't understand the value of that then. But what I knew was, especially as an adult, and I had a conversation with him one time, he's like, I always wanted to make sure my children had more than enough. And once I knew that y'all were good, then I would eat. Then I would partake and make sure that I was good. But I had to make sure that y'all was good first. And so I think that we can take that and use that not just in the realm of physical need, but like even with like you were saying, like, hey, I know I'm tired, but I want to make sure you're good first. And once I know you're good, then I'm going to be fine. I'm going to get my rest. I'm going to be healthy because I want to still be here to be able to do this for you.
Right.
But I need you to be good. And my responsibility as your husband, as your father, is to make sure you're good. Period.
Yeah. I feel like I have to say this because I feel like the Holy Spirit has just been telling me this. So I want to say, take a page from this. I feel like I used to do it back then, but I feel like I haven't done it as often. Is also like when we're in these situations, like my responsibility as well is to be aware and be self-aware. So like if I know like, oh, he's having like a hard day or he's probably tired. Like I know we talked about this in another episode, but taking the selfishness out of it and compromising and being like, babe, why don't you just go take a 30-minute break or a walk or something like that. So I was sharing that because I just got rebuked for it. So I want to apologize for not even being sensitive in moments of knowing that you may need it and kind of taking my own, selfish naps and stuff. So I'll be more aware. And it's on tape, so I have to follow through. But yeah, just being more sensitive to your partner and knowing like they need this and prioritizing them as well.
One of my eyes get watery whenever she started apologizing. Got
What?
like it. You see it a little bit?
Yeah, I do see it glistening.
I see the glisten.
Yeah, but I just wanted to say that.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I love that. And at the end of the day, whenever we do things like that and we prioritize our relationship, then we can pour into our children.
Yeah.
Which is why they say spouse and children, because we as a unit, because we're one, can pour from a full cup together on a united front.
And being that model for them, and them knowing like this is the way a godly marriage is supposed to be. Like, I see my mom and dad having their relationship with God. I see them having a relationship with each other, and now me. And it's like just being the model for them to know like what's important in life and how to prioritize, and showing them what healthy boundaries look like in that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I have another question.
Oh, okay.
Kind of shifting gears just a little bit. Still in the vein of priorities, like, have you had goals that you felt like you've had to let go, or even dreams for the sake of your spouse, for your wife, or for your husband? Like, have there been things you're like, man, I'm going to do this. And then when you got married, or even maybe there's dreams you have now that you feel like, man, I don't know how we're going to do this, but you really want it, but you feel like you've had to prioritize something over that particular goal.
I feel like that's happened a few times in our marriage. I think when we first got married, my thought process, Hope did not really realize what I wanted to do.
Why didn't I realize that?
I didn't realize.
I
was in college.
You didn't know.
That's where you figure it out. We were dating, and it was like, I want to marry this girl, but I'm figuring out life. So there's that piece. That's what I think is very unique about our marriage, because you have these folks that they get in careers already, and now they try to come together. We are both in nothing, and we're already coming together and figuring it out together.
Come on and figure it out.
We're trying to figure it out. But it was one of those things. I remember in college, and at this point we're engaged, and it was the opportunity to go to New York, and I think I was going to be working like ticket sales for the Knicks, or it was come to Oklahoma, go to grad school and work, and get my graduate degree and work in athletics. And I'm thinking, okay, New York would be dope. Like, it could be us, working for a pro team. And then what's out in Oklahoma? She don't know Oklahoma. At least she know of New York City. She probably couldn't point Oklahoma on the map at that point. And it was like, so my thought was like, okay, like this trajectory was going to be quicker in my career path, plus who I would network with. But it was like a moment of just kind of reflecting and prayer. It was just like, yeah, you plan on getting married, living how? You don't have any money. And you're going to live in New York.
The most expensive place.
Yeah, you want to get a roommate or something, but being married, and was like all these type of like responsibilities of about to be a husband. I had to think about as we're about to become one of this probably won't work, and that they say that first year is the hard. Well, I'm gonna make it even harder
I'm gonna make it even harder
if I take this. So it was one of those moments. It was like, okay.
Y'all should have seen us. It was like, well, maybe we can live in New Jersey
we
and
can figure it out. We're gonna commute it, and because a lot of people do that, but it was like we weren't really about that life. Like, we weren't the city. Like, we come from a smaller city, like a Oklahoma City, like that's our. And so moving where we moved when we decided, okay, we're gonna do Oklahoma, it worked out. And even then, we went through the financial struggle. I'm only making $1,000 a month. She hadn't found a job. And so it's now, did I make the right decision? Because I probably would have at least made some money in New York because of the cost of living. But it was that. I would say that second biggest one was in 2021 coming out of athletics. Because now that one was, my career aspiration was this trajectory of, I want this title. And that's where I think we find identity in our work and titles and things like that. Meanwhile, our spouse and our kids are looking on the sideline like, we're here. We're your greatest title of father and husband.
That's it.
And so, but there was a point where now this is where God had to intervene. And it was like, I felt like the pandemic was the first shift. It was like, now you're at home and you're with her all the time. But you like this, right? And now you guys created this platform. You like this, right? Like, and now it's like, this is nice. But God, I got this, and this is who I am. But this is, and it was now a shift of, okay, but I want you here. I want you doing this. And looking at her like, oh, this is nice. We're spending a lot more time together. And at that time, we were trying to have a baby, and we had already had the struggles of that infertility journey. And so it was like, I could be here more often if I decide to say, put my career aspirations to the side. But it was without a fight. Like, it was like crying on the floor of, I don't know who I am without this career. That's how far deep I was. But it was like, at that point, it was like almost just a leap of faith, like just being obedient.
That's real, bro.
And when the obedience came, everything followed into place. It's like, seek the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and I will take care of all the things else will come. And that's exactly what happened. I was like, okay, she's first. This career, it's not about that. It's not about the money. It's not about the title. The title of son of God, title of husband, a title of eventual father that we want, that we've been praying for at the time. That's what I want. And I think it fell into place. It fell into place in that. So to look back now to see, career aspirations been put to the burner.
And now I don't know if this is right or not, but I know, like, for me, I feel like there's been certain things that I've put on hold because I wanted to support him in that season. And I think that there was, Kadero's always the type that's like, no, you want to do whatever you want to do. Like, I'm going to push you, like, help you get there and all that stuff. But I knew that it was going to either take a toll on our marriage, or it was either going to allow us the opportunities to not see each other. And I'm just kind of like, what do I value at the end of the day? Is it me because I just want to do this? Or am I going to submit to helping him and being there with him in this season because I value our marriage? And I still, at the end of the day, like, got to do what I wanted to do. But it's just like knowing the seasons and having those conversations of, okay, in this season of our marriage, like, it's about you. I mean, I say that, but it's like, this is what's paying the bills. Like, this is, we got to figure that out. And then there's seasons where Kadero's like, okay, now, I'm here. I'm supporting you. Like, we're supporting each other throughout the whole thing. But it's like, I think you have to have those moments where you have those conversations of balance of, okay, we're going to support you right now, or we're going to support this right now, or we're going to do this or that. And it's just having those conversations of knowing, like,
I think that's so unique in all marriages, like those marriages that go through those seasons of, or I want to go back to school, or I just want to come out of this job, and like, how does that work? How does one person say, okay, how's this gonna look? Like, that takes a lot of time of communication, prayer. Hopefully that if you are in that vein. If you're not, then I think I would suggest you start. But it's like, if there's a shift in season of individuals and y'all have to come to that together, those are things that can tear apart. When somebody say, oh, I want to go back to school now. You're like, wait, what? What are we doing? I think
it's just a conversation you have to have. And I think that both parties have to be to where they're okay with that too. Like, this is, and it's not to say, like, you have to choose, like, oh, well, he's going to do this, and then in 2 years, I'm going to do this or that. But it's like flowing with God and flowing with the spirit of knowing, okay, in this season, it's my planning season. While he's doing this or that, like, I'm doing this or that in the background, but I'm supporting him. And then, okay, now it's my turn, and now he's doing whatever he has to do in that moment. Instead of coming at it like, well, you do you, I'm going to do me type of, vibe. And then it's like, that's when I feel like things can kind of drift apart, and I don't know. Sometimes it works for some people, but I know in our marriage, it was like something had to give.
Yeah. Makes me think about whenever I decided to leave education. I was like, I don't want to teach anymore. He was very supportive through that. I'm so thankful for that, because that could have gone very differently. I've heard other people talk about the problems it caused, but he supported me through it. And thank you.
You're welcome.
I just thought about that. This is a day of gratitude.
Day of gratitude.
Day of gratitude.
But I can't think of a time when I put my dreams on the back burner or something because of my marriage.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. There's not necessarily a time where I put dreams on the back burner. Well, okay, so there was this one thing, but I wouldn't say it was a dream. It was just something I really wanted to do.
Right.
So if you don't know, I used to do photography professionally. And there was this big, photographer in LA, very known. I loved his work, and there was a lot of inspiration from him to my work. And so one day, now I have 3 kids, wife at home, and I remember reaching out to this guy. It was like, "Hey man, love your work." I was like, "Man, I just want to come up there for like a month and just spend a month with you. I'll shadow. You ain't got to pay me a dime. I'll work. I'll get you coffee. I just need you to sit with me and let me be in the studio. Let me see what you're doing." He was like, "Bro, if you can get here, absolutely." And then I remember thinking like, "Oh shoot, I wouldn't expect him to say yes."
At the time, you were doing photography full time.
I was doing photography full time, and I was playing keys at church. And I remember thinking this, like really thinking this through. And I talked to her about it. And I said, "Hey, what do you think about me going up for a month?" And I want to say she was okay with it. But I remember thinking like, "Bro, I'm about to leave my family for a month to go." And I was like,
I was like, I hold it down.
I was like, I was like, I want to do this, but is it worth it?
Right.
It just wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
So I didn't even pursue it anymore. I was just like, whatever. But there is another thing. I feel like there was the sacrifice of not doing something, but then there was also like when you like really looked at the priorities and recognized the priorities, there were things that I wanted to do that I no longer wanted to do because it didn't fit within the priority of my family. One of those things, as crazy as this is going to sound, is like I have been working in church for the past 23 years almost. I've been working in church a long time. And I have grown in church in different various positions. And over time, my endeavor has been, I want to be a great leader in a church, right? I want to be this title. I want to be an executive. I want to be leading because I'm licensed preacher and a campus pastor, worship leader, musical director, all of the titles. Creative director, you know what I'm saying? A service producer. Did so many different things in church over the years. And I just like, that's what I wanted to do. I was like, how do I grow to be the next best leader I can be? And how do I grow? And I was going to start a leadership consulting thing. Like I just wanted to be in church. And now I don't care.
Yeah.
I care, but the priority is no longer the position.
Yeah.
Like, why would I be this great position in a church and I ain't even that position at home?
Yeah.
That's what I was speaking to as far as like, because I feel like somebody out here like, oh, she just put her dreams on hold to support that man. Whereas like, I looked at it as more so, okay, is this something I just want to do versus something God's calling me to do? Now, if it's something that God is calling me to do, we're going to have that conversation of, okay, babe, I feel like I've heard this from God. Like, we need to figure out how we're going to make this work in order for us to do that. But the things that, like, when we were going through, it was like, oh, I wanted to make candles, like, or something like that, something simple. And I'm like, okay, I did it, but it was like, I'm not going to make it so big and grand that it's like, it was just a hobby. So it's like knowing the difference of things that I want to do versus what God's calling me to do, I feel like is a different scenario in which we would have to have a serious conversation about how to make that work. But
there's and I have achieved. Here's the thing: by sacrificing the things that I thought I wanted to do, has led to me really doing the things that I really love doing.
Yeah,
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Not only that, and for me, I thought about the money piece.
Yeah,
making more money than I ever made, and the other side. Like I'm trying to make, because I know that if I got to that assistant AD over football, you're gonna make this, and I'm like, I'm gonna miss out on that. Now I'm working from home. Yeah, says who. Now I'm working from home, making more than I ever made.
Yeah.
I hadn't got there yet.
Yeah.
So now I just shifted. So I don't know what it feels like to make that.
Yeah.
But I'm making more than I ever have. And now I'm spending every single day, didn't miss a beat with my daughter. I've been there for every milestone. Was there. Like, I think about the times I know these coaches who missed their doctor's appointments or first steps. Like, these little moments like that, I was like, I would cringe at the moment and be so sad if I missed those moments.
that are seeds of memories in your kids. Maybe not for us, but for them, it is.
You know what makes me think about? Have y'all ever heard about how they say like the biggest regret that a lot of people have when they're dying? And one of them is, I wish I hadn't worked so hard because they ended up missing so many.
Why would you?
Yeah.
What?
Like, why would you?
I thought he was like,
no,
why
no,
would
no.
you say that?
that?
No, I'm saying,
What is that?
why would you sacrifice so much of your life and your time
Right.
to gain something that you ain't even gonna have time enough to enjoy it?
Yeah.
I worked all my life, and here I am, 60 and dying of cancer.
Yeah.
I can't even enjoy it, and your kids ain't even close to you because they were a worthy sacrifice for you to obtain something that you'll never reap the benefits of. You know what I'm saying? And you do it and sometimes we do that in honor of our kids.
Right.
Your kids didn't ask for that.
Right.
Your kids didn't ask for you to go spend every day working and building a business so you can leave them money.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would have rather had time with you
Yeah.
and memories and a photo album where they can look like, man, you remember that? That's when we went on that family vacation.
Bring back photo albums.
I
You know,
love photo
I was
albums.
just thinking earlier, this is crazy. That's my confirmation.
Okay, let's do it.
Because my dad, I always reference my dad. Love my dad. For those of you who don't know, my dad died 2023, January. And so I always talk about him now. Anyway, my dad, we had a photo album called, it was on there, it said The Hopkins Family. And just tons of photos. My dad did that. He said, son, you got to make sure you have a family photo album. You got to document. That's what my dad,
Yeah,
you
he
got to
would come over
document
our
those
house
memories.
and be like, son, y'all need to get some pictures up here on
There's
this
some
wall.
pictures on his wall.
That was his voice.
I love that.
And so I was thinking earlier, it's like, man, we need a family photo album.
Yes.
Yeah, because
Like-
everything's
Everything's
Digital.
on
Digital.
Yeah.
Everything's digital.
except
No,
for when
like-
they were babies. We
Yeah.
had photo albums. From
It's
that
digital
time.
until Facebook all of a sudden goes away.
Exactly.
Let me
download
It
my
wasn't-
photos.
Look, I'm telling you.
My
Because I
parents-
go, every time I go to Kadero's house, parents' house, I will sit there and go through their photo albums.
We
Like
have
it's,
at least 50
yeah, photo albums.
photo albums. It's like this little
It's like a bookshelf dedicated
bookshelf,
to like
and
photo
it's
albums.
nothing but photo albums. It's crazy.
I love that.
We need
And
to, I'm
you
going
know
to go
what
do
the
that today.
funny
We're going to
thing
buy a
is?
photo album.
Yeah, the funny thing is you did that for me for, was it a birthday maybe?
Anniversary.
Anniversary? Because I'm huge on pictures as well. And I woke up and I walked out and there was Polaroids, like pictures everywhere.
Aw.
And then he had bought a photo album. And so we went through like just putting pictures in photo
Come on,
albums. So we
Kadero.
need to get back to that.
Yeah.
Come on, Kadero.
That's
I
our
know.
challenge. We're
Yes.
going to buy a photo album.
Come on,
Yeah.
let's have a crafty night.
Come on, Crafty. Now, you be careful because every time she say we need to do something, it get done. That's how this podcast came
See
in.
what I'm saying? Y'all gonna see little stories of us clipping stuff.
Making our photo album. Challenge y'all to go out and get y'all a photo album.
And get it before the internet takes them away.
So do we go ahead. You was going to say something?
No.
Oh, so do we have any final thoughts on just prioritize? Ooh, Lord. Okay, no. Low. Work with me for a second. Prioritization.
tongue.
He's still working.
Come on,
Shit
tongue and
in
teeth.
our-
In the name of Jesus.
Prioritization.
Come
There
on.
it is.
Loose here.
Loose that tongue.
Loose that.
Oh man.
They are cracking up.
Your neck all right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Lee.
All right.
I want to say this, and
Oh.
I guess I'm gonna just piggyback what Don said because I think that was so real. When looking at prioritization, not looking at it as who's disposable, who's the first to go,
Are most important.
or most important. Like everybody, it's all important.
Yeah.
We need to change the way we look at the lens we're looking out of it.
Mhm.
God wants a relationship with us. Our
Yeah.
spouse wants a relationship with us. Our children want a relationship with us. They're all important.
Yeah.
The prioritization is not who's gonna go first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Priority means when I have a disagreement with my wife and my kids are there, to not make it aware that I'm the head and to no, it's to say, hey, I still respect you even though these kids are here. And then offline we can talk about it. That's priority because there's moments where she could say something that I absolutely don't agree with.
Mhm.
And there are men who out there, and I used to be this person, will want to make it right in front of the kids so the kids know that ain't right. That's priority.
Yeah. Priority is when we're bickering one another, and I'm like having the self-awareness to say, have I been spending time with God to get filled back up so that I can then pour back out so that we're not
Here's another one.
bickering.
Here's another one. This even teeters on the fence of sacrifice.
Teeter.
There's, come on, teeter. Priority is knowing I am right in this argument, but it's not worth the argument. So I'm going to concede and say, baby, I'm sorry. Forgive me. And mean it. Not just like, okay, shut up already. I'm sorry. No, I'm saying, wow, we really arguing about something that's really not, baby, I'm sorry.
Kill that pride.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's priority. I prioritize the health of our relationship and the fact that I love her and moments of peace for something that's really not valuable and important. That's showing a level of priority. It's not saying who's most important. That's an evil way of thinking about it. Right? The healthy way of seeing it is that we're all important, we're all valuable, but what is it that I need to be giving to you? What is it that I need to be giving to my kids? My job? All of those things are priorities, but understanding, like, when it comes within the context of my family, it's not my kids are more important, my boys are more important than my daughter. My daughter is more important than my wife. Like, no. At the end of the day, I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. Not because I'm not valuable, because remember, it's not about the value. All my kids are valuable. My wife is valuable. I'm valuable. So we're not playing the game of, okay, so you're at the bottom because you're not as valuable. That's not the game we're playing. Right? It's how do I showcase that I love you based on how you receive love and what works for you versus you, because we all receive love and communicate differently. How I communicate with my son Jace is not the same I communicate with my son Trey. There's a priority there that happens, right?
So everyone's kind of pouring into each other.
Everybody's pouring into each other. And if we all loved each other as ourselves, there would never be a thing of who's most important, who's not important, if I was ever leave this scenario, my kids coming with me, because it would never be that. It would always be sacrificial in the sense of, okay, well, what do you need? Okay, well, we're going to make sure that happens. Right? It's about generosity. You know what I'm saying? And it's about making sure they have their needs before I have. It's not. I know one thing. I'm the father. I'm gonna get what I want. Is like one of the things my dad used to always say was it wasn't the best thing. And when we was little, it's my way or the highway. It's either what I want or nothing. And so it's not about that. It's about what do you need. And so anyway, that's my thought.
I think my final thought is just challenging everyone to take a moment and, I always forget which camera's mine. So I'm like,
just look straight.
Just look straight.
Thank you. So, see, for me, straight is right there, though.
Oh.
But anyways.
Okay.
He'll catch you. He'll catch you.
Well, I forgot my final thought. I remember.
After these messages.
Don't stop before I forget again.
Right back.
Great. Stop before I forget again.
Okay.
So mine is just to challenge everybody to take a moment and make a list of what you currently prioritize. And then if it's not in the order that you feel it should be, consult God, spend time with God, and then reorder that list so you can make some positive changes in your life.
You consult with God. I mean, he should be first right there.
Right.
Bam.
That part.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. I think for me, it's. I love pouring from a full cup, right? So of course we know God. Well, the way that we believe is God, spouse, children, and also just being intentional with yourself and making sure that you are full, because you always want to present the best version and allow people to experience the best version of yourself as well. So I know that a lot of things happen, and sometimes I feel like as moms, especially with kids, like we always put ourselves last, like, oh, I got to take care of this or do that or do that. But it's like, what are we teaching our children at the end of the day? Is it like that we burn out doing so much that we don't take care of ourselves, and then we're not the best versions of ourselves to give to our kids? So it's just like taking those moments to not say like it's about me, but also knowing that you matter and that you do have to prioritize yourself as well in some way, just so you can be healthy and be there for your people.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's a good time to wrap.
There it is.
So
Wrap
listen,
it
y'all,
up.
everybody who's watching, like, we want to know what you think. Like, how are you prioritizing your marriage or relationships, even responsibilities? I just kind of want to hear it all. And so if you want to share that information with us, email us info@themarriagealtaer.us. Info@themarriagealtaer, ALTAER.us. Well, we appreciate y'all for hanging with us this past hour.
Yes.
Some new topics that we have been talking about, or that we chose to talk about today, that was really actually kind of challenging for me because I just never really thought to talk about it openly. It's stuff you think about.
Yeah.
But talking about it openly is like, dang, I probably should be doing better.
That's what I was about to say. I realized a lot about myself just sitting here on this couch.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
And so that's what it's about.
This episode was for us.
It was really for us. It really was. And so because
And I'm thankful for that.
we're not just a podcast, we're a community, we want to
All
hear from
growing
you.
together.
Yeah.
So again, email us info@themarriagealtar.us. We want to hear about you. How are you prioritizing? Did you learn anything from today? Did something make sense to you? Did you disagree with something? I'm okay with listening to that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, next week we're gonna be right back here on this couch in these chairs at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time on Wednesday. Every Wednesday. So join us next week. Bring your friends. Tell people about it. If you watch this episode and it rung something in you and you want to share it with somebody, send it, share it. Click the bell notification so that way when we do drop these episodes, oh, I forgot the bell.
It's all right.
Click the bell notification. Ding. And
The sound was horrific.
God.
every time we drop a new episode every week, you'll be notified. And that's it.
That's it.
Guess what? We're going to see you next week
At the altar.
See y'all later.
Meet me at the altar.